other way around, facing outward, right? I guess so the left one is the same left one for the audience.
Right. Right.
There you go.
Oh, but it's still there.
No, but I believe I
That's
believe
okay.
that's one. We can test it by going on the phone, but I believe the one
Okay.
that's further away
Okay.
is the one that's visible on Teams,
Oh, all right.
on YouTube.
Oh, great, okay. We're enabling the stream. Oh, there was?
Between World Farm and dealership. Right real there.
The stream.
Looks like somebody's coming down one of their driveways and sees like that,
Okay,
or vice versa.
yeah. And then I record.
Be careful. 11:16, administrative hearing. It's on, it's up, and it's that screen. We're on.
We're good.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm ready to hit
Okay.
record.
All right, sounds good.
Great.
Thank you, Beth, very
Thanks,
much.
Thank you all.
Okay. Good morning. For the benefit of people who may be watching, welcome to Kent County, Maryland, Department of Planning, Housing, and Zoning. I'm Bill Mackey, the Director of the Department. Mark Harper, our Associate Planner, is presenting a staff report today, and he is on Teams. We're safe distancing at this point, and Beth Grebe, our Office Manager, is acting as our Planning Specialist and serving as clerk. Thank you, Beth.
Yes,
Did-
and I'm ready.
You ready? Okay, today is November 16th, 2023, and we are reviewing two applications. Number 2352, Daniel Pryor, for administrative special exception for a pool in the front yard of a waterfront property at 20639 Andrew Road, Rock Hall, and also 2355, Waverly Holdings LLC, also an administrative special exception for a pool in the front yard at 11200 Green Cove Drive in Wharton. So the way the procedure lays out is anyone who's interested in testifying in the room can raise their hands. If you're going to testify on Teams, just raise your hands in your home and answer this question. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your belief and knowledge? Yes, okay, thank you. So the way the procedure goes forward is the clerk will read into the record the public notice of the hearing and identify any correspondence we may have received. For each of the hearings, Mark will present the staff report. The applicant has an opportunity to speak to that and present their application. If there's anyone in the room in support, they would speak then. If there's anyone in the room opposed, they would speak then. And then everyone in the room has the opportunity to cross-examine staff, the applicant, each other. And then finally, anyone can make a closing statement if they wish. At this point, I think we only have two folks in the room, so that's probably not going to be a lot of the process. The big point of these processes is to allow neighbors to know what's happening. They're able to come and view the proceedings and have input if they wish, and that's part of the reason why we have a special exception for this particular use. If you're ready, Beth, you can read the public notice, but
Yes.
you don't have to rush. If you need to finish something on YouTube, it's fine. Oh, you need a mic, don't you? Here, I can hand you one.
Oh, here's an extra.
Oh, you're right. There we go. We don't have marks.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. The following notice was posted in the Kent County News on November 9th, 2023. Notice of public hearing. On Thursday, November 16th, 2023, at 10 a.m., the Kent County Director of Planning, Housing, and Zoning will hold two public meetings in the County Commissioners' Hearing Room, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, on the following matters. Daniel Pryor requesting an administrative special exception to construct a swimming pool, spa, and patio in the front yard of a waterfront property located at 20639 Andrew Road. Waverly Holdings LLC requesting an administrative special exception to construct a swimming pool and pool deck in the front yard of a waterfront property located at 11200 Green Cove Drive. Members of the public may attend the meeting in person or observe and/or comment by phone. dial 1-872-239-8359, enter conference ID 823-509-941, number sign. Members of the public are asked to mute their phones' devices until the chair opens the floor for comment. If you have any questions, please contact the department at 410-778-7423. If you need communication assistance, please contact the Maryland Relay Service at www.mdrelay.org or 711 for voice. Letters were sent to adjacent property owners on November 2nd, 2023. No email or mail correspondence has been received.
Thank you very much, Beth. Mr. Carper, would you like to present the staff report, sir?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I'd be happy to do that. So, can you hear me well enough?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you. So, in regards to the first application for Daniel and Abby Pryor, as mentioned, they were looking to put in a swimming pool in the front yard of a waterfront property. The law requires, or the land use ordinance requires, a special exception for this kind of construction, and there are general standards set forth. General standards primarily address what the potential impact would be to the character of the neighborhood, the environment, and such. The comments in regards to these standards are as follows from the staff and from the technical advisory committee: that the proposed pool, spa, and patio will be located between the principal dwelling and the shoreline. The proposed improvements will not have a negative impact on surrounding properties, as the nearest adjacent dwelling is over 100 feet away from the proposed structure that is to be placed. Health Department did comment. Site plan is to show the location of the septic sewage system. There's been an update in the site plan, which does show the location of that. There will be a net increase of lot coverage of a little over about 1,900 square feet. The total lot coverage is well within the permitted amount for the critical area, and a buffer enhancement plan has been submitted, and that meets critical area requirements. Comprehensive plan does not address the matter, and the proposal is consistent with the intent of the ordinance. So staff does recommend approval of this application with the following conditions: that the health department would eventually approve the building permit. I have no reason to suspect that they would not, and that the special exception granted would lapse after 1 year if no substantial construction in accordance with the plans were to occur. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, would you like to just come up and speak to the application for a little bit? Just come forward and speak to the application, just. And you need to press the button so the light turns green. Yeah, thank you. And if you can give your name and address of record.
Name and your address.
And your address, yeah. It can be your business address if you're,
Pool or company?
or your company.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
got you,
It's just for the public record, yeah.
got you. I am Matt Michaels, General Manager, Custom Escapes and Pools, located at 8646 Brooks Drive, Easton, Maryland.
And if you can just say a few words about the application. I know you submitted a narrative, you submitted all the things we requested, but just a brief overview for anyone who might be listening. Just a brief overview of the proposal for those who might be listening. Yeah.
We are to construct a new pool and a separate spa from the pool with a concrete paver pool deck.
Okay. Does everything in the staff report?
Yes, everything was
Makes
filled
sense.
out in the report.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Michaels, appreciate it, yeah. And I don't know if anyone, you're not here for this application, so you probably don't have a, sure.
With something like this, is there still a recommendation or requirement that they put a fence around the pool, or is that not part of
Building code requires either a fence or a pool cover. It's not part of zoning, but it's part of the building code, so it does get enforced, but at the building permit process, so.
Okay. And how far from the actual buffer is the pool?
I'll ask applicant or Mr. Carper to answer that. Do you know how far from the buffer line the
She's
pool
on a
is?
different location, I am.
Correct, right.
Sorry, I didn't really hear the question.
I'm sorry. How far from the buffer is the pool?
For Waverly, right,
I'm
for this application, correct?
For
Yeah,
this
right, this one,
application?
yeah.
So there's at least 100-foot buffer from
The
the
water,
waterfront.
yep.
So how far from that 100 feet is the pool located? Or the construction of anything located?
In looking at the site plan, and please bear with me while I do this digitally, um, the proposed pool is at least 1.5 times the distance from the buffer as the buffer is to the shoreline. So I anticipate it being about 200 to 250 feet from the shoreline itself.
Okay, got it. Is there a bank there, any kind of change in elevation there?
There is. The property does slope downward toward the shore. The house itself is on a slight decline. The area where they're proposing to put the pool is relatively flat. I think Bill may have shown you a topo map that was included in the application.
Yes,
Okay.
you did. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All righty, thank you for coming down and giving the public the opportunity. So I would thank you, Mark, for a very thorough staff report. As part of my decision, I'd like to include, as part of the decision, the application, the staff report, and TAC and staff comments. I would concur with the staff recommendation and approve the special exception with the conditions as listed. My only question to the applicant is 1 year enough time for you to move forward? We've had some folks who, it was difficult to get things done in a year, so.
A year is more than enough.
Okay, all righty, because sometimes we've extended it if it's necessary, depending on
We hope to
time.
have them swim by Memorial Day.
Okay, all righty, thank you very much. So
Sure.
with that, I would approve it, and the decision will be issued, it's usually in about 2 weeks in writing. There's an appeal period of 30 days from this date that allows people to appeal the decision if they wish, so we don't issue the building permit, but all the review of the permit and everything can move forward. We just don't actually issue the permit until 30 days from today. But if you have a permit in, it'll get reviewed, you'll get comments, that the sort of process continues. We just won't issue it until the 30th day. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Michaels.
So we're looking at like the 19th of
December.
for the meetings.
Yep. All righty. Moving on to Waverly Holdings in Green Cove Drive. And you don't have to rush off. It'll take us a while to get through the staff report.
We're good.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hear from you.
Yeah.
If not, we'll be building soon.
Okay.
I'll let the fires know.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Michaels.
Have a great day.
You
Good
too.
weekend.
Take care.
All righty. And since you're here for this application, have you had an opportunity to review the staff report? Have you seen it? No, okay. They are posted online, and I always like to ask. So, Mark, when you give this particular staff report, can you go into a little more detail than you usually do?
Yes, I can do that, of course. Let me know when you're ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, Mr. Carper, we are ready.
Okay, so this is Waverly Holdings LLC. They are requesting a special exception for the pool in the front yard of waterfront property, to include a pool deck as well. The property is a little over 12 acres in size, and its location is 11200 Green Cove Drive in Second Election District. As mentioned before, there are some general standards that are presented when such applications are presented. Those standards include that the nature of the proposed site, including its size and shape, a proposed size, shape, and arrangement of structures, traffic patterns, nature of surrounding area, proximity to dwellings, houses of worship, schools, public structures, and other places of public gathering. And these are sort of the things that are considered when reviewing this application. The impact of the development of project or community facilities and services, preservation of cultural and historic landmarks, significant natural features and trees, probable effect of noise, vibration, smoke, and particulate matter, toxic matter, odor fires, etc. The purpose and intent of this ordinance is set forth in Article 2. The design, environment, other standards of this ordinance set forth in Article 5. And Article 5 addresses the respective districts, zoning districts. The most appropriate use of land and structure, conservation of property values, proposed developments, impact on water quality, impact on fish, wildlife, and plant habitat, and consistency with comprehensive plan, land use ordinance, and where applicable, village master plan. Consistency with critical area program, and lastly, compatibility with existing and planned land use as described in the conservation plan land use ordinance. The comments that staff and a technical advisory committee had on this application are as follows. The proposed pool and pool deck will be located between the principal dwelling and the shoreline. The proposed improvements will not have a negative impact on surrounding properties as the nearest adjacent dwelling is over 400 feet away from the proposed structure where it's to be placed, and there is developed woodland in between. The net increase in lot coverage from the installation of the proposed pool and decking will be a little over 3,000 square feet. This project is in conjunction with an application for the construction of a replacement single-family dwelling with attached garage, which will create a net increase of 4,231 square feet as a separate part of the larger project. The combined increase in lot coverage for the pool and dwelling will be 7,315 square feet, and this is a net change in the previously existing lot coverage because the home has been removed and it's being replaced with a new configuration. The combined increase in lot coverage for the pool and dwelling will be, as I mentioned, 7,315 feet, and a buffer enhancement plan has been submitted for each portion of the projects, both for a single family home and the pool and pool deck, and they meet clear requirements. There was a site demolition and clearing and grading for preparation, and a tree clearing plan was followed. And those trees that were cleared were to be mitigated through replacement. The comprehensive plan does not address this matter, and the proposal is consistent with the intent of the ordinance. Staff does recommend approval of the pool and pool decking with the following conditions. As mentioned before, in terms of the need for a fence or automatic pool covers being required, and a special exception granted would last for 1 year if no substantial construction in accordance with the plans were to occur. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And to ask the same question as last time, what is the relationship, the distance of the pool from the buffer in this case?
Give me a second.
Yep.
Take
No
a
problem.
look. So it looks
Mark, I
like,
can-
oh
Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Nathan's here.
I was
Nathan's
gonna say I
engineer.
can answer that.
Yeah,
Nate with
yeah.
Lane Engineering. Address is 354 Pennsylvania Avenue, Centerville, Maryland. Good morning, Mr. Bill. To answer your question, it's 147 feet to the pool itself, 137 feet to the pool deck, closest point to the water.
Okay. So it would be
Or-
so it's about 40 feet outside of the buffer. Would that be correct?
Yes,
Okay. All right, thank you, Nathan.
yes, sir.
Is it an extended buffer there?
There is an expanded buffer. But we are outside of that expanded buffer.
How far is the expanded buffer from the water?
Oh, it's picking up there, perfect. You're mic'd, that's fine. And if you don't mind, can you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Marcy Brown, and I'm a next-door neighbor.
Okay, thank you, Marcy.
I don't really have that detailed on how far, the expanded buffer continues. It continues, into the property up to the 300 feet, kind of neighboring your, that gravel driveway that goes down to the water.
So the expanded buffer comes about 300 feet from the water? Is that what you're saying?
It comes up kind of along your property line and probably also onto your property line in that ravined area there.
So
Sorry,
it,
Bill, do you happen to, I'm sorry for interrupting. The site plan, I think if you have a copy of that, can show that expanded buffer. Bill, I don't know if you have a copy you could show to Ms. Brown.
She's looking at my
yeah,
copy
I have it.
now.
I
Yes.
have it.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
it's probably printed on a small sheet of paper.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, you're welcome. Does that answer your question?
It's a little
In a way.
hard, it's a little hard to see exactly where the expanded buffer is in
There's,
here. I mean, you have something that says 125 feet, 125.55 feet, but I
So
don't,
if-
I don't see an indication of an expanded buffer on here.
If you go to your property line, you're to the south, correct?
Yes,
Underneath your property information, if you go north of that, it says expanded buffer out to 300 feet. And if you just kind of simply follow that line in the north direction there, it ends up meeting the 100-foot buffer back.
Nathan, is there a way you could share your screen and show that on the television?
Yes, I can do that.
I see a site plan that has, it looks like an expanded buffer. I don't have
If-
glasses with me, so.
I think Nathan's going to put it up on the screen if you want to look at the screen.
I'm gonna-
And then he can
I'm
show
gonna
it.
attempt to do it.
Yeah. Attempts are fine.
I mean, no. if
Okay,
you
now
can see
it's
it or
actually the other screen, sorry, it flips around, as you know, yeah. Thank you. And can you show with your cursor perhaps what the line that you're discussing?
Can you see my
I see what
cursor?
you're
I'm
saying.
near the legend.
Yeah, so it's just going towards, as you say, the ravine.
So here is kind of the 300-foot buffer out to 300 feet, and it follows this line here.
So this is an expanded buffer based on slope, not on hydric soils, I take it?
Correct.
Correct.
Based on slope.
Yeah.
Okay. And so so you've taken out quite a few trees down in there, and I'm assuming all those trees need to be replaced. Do they all have to be replaced in the buffer?
The trees are being replaced. Let me scroll down. Bear with me.
I mean, it's a pretty wooded area, so it would be,
Actually, this isn't that correct plan, but so near the pool, there was a couple individual landscape trees that we were removing. And those would be mitigated for the square foot of canopy. And that does not have to go within the 100-foot buffer because it's outside the 100-foot buffer. So those trees could go anywhere within the critical area. So they have provided additional screening here. I believe, just talking off the top of my head, from the plan I created. So I think there's additional trees planted here.
do you have to
And
have, do you have to have native trees or?
they are native. Yep, they have to be native per critical area code. So everything's native that's on this site plan here that you're looking at. And on the other site plans associated with the house and the tree removal. So they're having expansive meadows within this. Obviously, Camping Ruby is a landscape architect, so there's going to be even further planting than what you're looking here and what all my site plans show. So there's going to be a large amount of landscaping on this property.
On the property, it looks like it's showing trees that are actually in the buffer. I can't tell. Are those trees coming out or not? Or
These
does that
here?
just indicate- No, they're,
These black
yes.
trees?
Yes.
No, this is a planting plan. So these trees are proposed, as part of the pool plan.
Okay.
As, you know, in correspondence with, the pool lot coverage itself.
Okay,
So the house has its own buffer management plan,
got it.
associated with the square foot increase on that.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If you guys want, I did pull up the digital file we have on the site preparation, which shows the trees being removed and the planting plan for that replacement. If you want me to try to share my screen as well.
Sure. So are there any additional trees other than those that have already been removed slated for removal?
No,
No. Okay. I'm assuming that's sort of the issue, yeah. Okay.
Okay, someone's gonna have to instruct me on how to share a screen though.
If you go to the very top of your screen, there should be looks like an arrow pointing up that's in a box. I think.
it's right next to the leave call, like if you were to hang up.
Oh, I see, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's just your standard zoom in, zoom outs.
Okay,
We can't see it anymore, Mark. Oh, you're back. Can you swap screens, Beth?
Sure.
I'm just doing that so the public can see it. That's right. They can only see the one screen
Okay.
on the YouTube flow. Sorry, I didn't mean to take your screen away from you. Yeah.
so here's the plan showing the removal of trees. It's the forest clearing plan itself. I can zoom in a little bit.
There were a lot of trees taken out.
There were.
And there,
All the trees with X's on them are the trees that were removed, is that correct?
That's correct.
that's correct.
And all those are being mitigated for, Mark?
Yeah, and the next sheet does have the mitigation plan, which is here. And here's the row of trees that Nathan was talking about earlier. So this is the mitigation plan
So
for
they're
the
putting trees in front
removal.
of they're putting trees in front of the arborvitae? That row of trees that you've.
Through here?
Yeah. Are those all gonna
Uh,
be trees too?
Yes, yes, all these will be trees. And Nate is the landscape architect for this, and he can speak more on the species if you would like to, Nate.
That's okay, I know the species. Or I am a landscape designer, so. All right. Thank you.
And
You're
Mark,
welcome.
just to clarify, the plan that we're looking at right now is the requirements for mitigation, and there are additional plantings beyond this that will be part of a landscaping plan? Is that what I'm supposed to understand?
There are three basic components regarding landscaping. One was for the critical area clearing. So this is
Okay.
removal of trees outside of the buffer,
Okay.
and this is a mitigation plan for that. The other two are buffer enhancements, and those are for the net increase in lot coverage as a result of this change. One set is going to be for the home and garage, and then for this project for the pool and decking.
And all of that will occur within the buffer?
Within the buffer, 7,315 square feet of plantings within the buffer with the entirety of the project, including the pool and the house and garage.
Are there any additional plantings beyond that?
None that have been proposed.
Okay.
And
Yeah, so,
my understanding is
Sorry.
all those trees that are going in are natives.
that's correct.
And are they,
All
do
the
they,
trees, shrubs, and grasses.
do they have to be a certain size?
Yes, they do. they have to be, there's various, qualifications, but, if I'm proposing a canopy tree, that tree has to be a minimum of 2-inch caliper.
Okay,
And this, Mark, I'm not sure when this was submitted, but this might be the overall buffer management plan. So I did an overall buffer management plan at one time, and then I kind of broke it out into different scenarios for the pool. So this is it looks like to be the entirety of what will be planted and what is being proposed for the project, with the
That's
house, the
correct.
pool, and everything. And then, as I said earlier, Camping Ruby's doing uh, the landscape plan, and there's going to be additional plantings on their plan.
Which is above and beyond the requirements for all mitigation.
Correct. Yeah, just you know,
Thank you.
additional meadows, etc.
Okay.
and this plan is actually in the office, in the planning office?
The
Okay.
screen you're seeing is actually, I believe, is Mark's screen, correct, Mark?
Yes, that's correct.
But this is actually a plan that we have.
Okay, so I can go in there and take a
Absolutely.
look at it. It's a little harder to read.
Right. And we can send you the PDF as well.
But
It's
they
all
are.
public record, so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Brown. Did you want to make any comment beyond your questions?
I
No?
mean, it looks fine.
Okay. All righty, thank you.
I don't prefer the row of arborvitae, but other than that, it looks fine.
Well,
Well,
what would you prefer?
What?
If you had an opportunity to say, talk to the designer live at the meeting.
It's already in. It's already there.
Oh, that's already been planted, I
Yeah, it's
understand.
already planted.
Okay, I see. Okay. All righty. Well, thank you, everyone. Mr. Hoxter, do you want to make any comments? You didn't actually present the application, but we've had, I think, some detailed discussions. Is there anything that you would like to say, a closing remark, a statement, et cetera?
No, I just want to thank you for, having me and, the opportunity to speak on behalf of this project. So, no, I think a lot was covered. So, thank you,
Thank you.
Ms. Brown, also for the comments.
Do you have any idea when what the dates of the project are, when things are going to be started and when they're thinking of being done?
I don't necessarily have an answer for that. I know that the building permit hasn't officially been issued yet. I know the demo permit, I think, Mark, has been, but that's so far the only permit they have received.
So, Mark,
Yeah, so the demo permit has been issued, the clearing permit has been issued, meaning site preparation. The building permit it's pretty close to being approved. I think the demarcation between the two projects was the last component that I was needing. There's just me and I think one other approval needed for that. And then for this particular application, we will need a permit application for it, as I had written to you. And it'd be, the quickest would be 30 days from today, assuming that the special exception is approved before the permit can be issued, in case there's a desire for an appeal of the decision.
And they are thinking that they're going to have that pool in a year?
I can't really answer that just because, it might,
right, installation would be.
it
the
might be a
contract.
better idea, yeah,
I mean, I would think you'd want to,
maybe push that to 2 years
I
if
would think
feasible,
so.
because I know
Sure.
that a lot of pool contractors, definitely during COVID had like a 1-year wait period.
Yep, I recall. So before we leave that, Mark, do you know if this is in a FIDS or waterfowl breeding area or any of our environmental areas that have a blackout range for the building?
Tommy, your restrictions, what
Correct.
you're referring to?
Yes.
No.
No, so none of those apply. Okay, so in some areas, there's times you cannot construct, but sounds like this is outside of that area. So,
it is.
yeah, okay, good. All righty,
I
well,
would think definitely you'd want to put 2 years, give them 2 years in your
Okay, I can
thing
certainly
as
do that.
opposed to one.
We do it fairly frequently, so, yeah, because of this very issue of availability. So,
Right.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Ms. Brown. All righty, well, based on the, I'd like to first include, thank you, gentlemen, thank you, Ms. Brown, it's a great discussion. I learned more about this application than I knew before, that's great. So I'd like to include the application, staff report, TAC and staff comments as part of the decision, and I'd like to decide in favor of the special exception as recommended by staff, including the conditions recommended with the one revision that the time limit be a 2-year time limit instead of a 1-year time limit. Is that acceptable to staff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And usually our decisions are issued about 2 weeks. It can be sooner depending on workload, but, and then the building permit would be available or able to be issued within 30 days if everything else has been complied with for permit application requirements, so. All righty. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I think there's one more question, gentlemen. Hold on.
Not necessarily for you guys, but when they've been issued a demolition permit, are there times on that says, you can't start work before 7 o'clock in the morning and you have to be done by 5 and no demolishing when the neighbors are out having a cocktail on their porch? Are there any?
Do not have a cocktail
stuff like
restriction,
that?
yeah.
There's not a cocktail restriction?
There
Come
is
on.
not, yeah, so.
But
I
I mean,
think-
are there time limits on when they can work?
I don't believe there are, yeah. Beth issues those regularly, so. And I mean, this is a project, so this project has a lot more going on, but our demolition permits are free. We don't charge for them.
Yeah.
And the reason we do that is we want to encourage people to come down and get a free demo permit. We try to make it as simple as possible, because our goal is to be able to report to ESTAT and the tax appraiser's office, as well as our records, that a building unit is gone, right? If we want to incentivize and make it as easy as possible for people to come down and do that, so we're able to track and keep track of what is happening. So, because buildings can just disappear and no one knows, and sometimes it shows up on the tax record years later, there's a building there and there isn't. So we're just trying to make it easy. So we don't have a lot of restrictions on the demo permit. You really just have to, you come down, you apply, you have to have a contractor who's licensed, et cetera, and then you can move forward.
Which I think is great, but I think it can also be
I can
horrible
imagine.
to the neighbors when they're working and, all the way till dark, which in the summer, it's 9 o'clock at night and they're still working. It's like,
That's helpful advice. I'm sure we'll be talking about that back in.
so,
Yeah, okay,
or coming in really early in
Right.
the morning.
right. Okay.
So, all right.
Well, thank you for coming down.
See you all later.
Yeah, take care. All righty, and with that, I believe we are done with our business for today, and I would close the meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Hoxer, thank you, Mr. Carper, and thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Have a good weekend.
You too, happy Thanksgiving.